Don't cross the streams.
Why?
It would be bad.
I'm fuzzy on the whole good-bad thing. What do you mean bad?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and I don't really talk about a lot of crowdfunding projects that aren't really associated with collaborators on the channel, but today I get to knock out two birds with one stone, talk about Sean Gordon Murphy's Indiegogo campaign, as well as some of the issues that they're having over there at Kickstarter. And here to talk with me about this is my good friend and a man that supports a lot of crowdfunded comic books. Doc, how you doing?
I'm doing great, dude.
Wow, so Sean Gordon Murphy's been talking about crowdfunding his own comic book for months now. It feels like maybe it's even been a year. We started getting news out that he was going to be having it was called The Plot Hole, and he was going to start funding it relatively soon. It came out yesterday. Within 24 hours, already over $100,000 on Indiegogo. Damn.
Yeah. I mean, he hits $100,000. I mean, we kind of expected this, that it was going to end up it was going to be well received. People were going to be behind it. Sean's a great artist, great writer, great with fans. He basically hits every point that would lead towards success in crowdfunding. The only thing he had to do was have a good enough idea. And it seems like he's done it. So he's been talking about this for a little while. We all kind of had an expectation. Oh yeah, he'll at least do, a couple of 100,000, but knocking out $100,000 in the first day, it's not even been 24 hours yet since the thing launched, at least at the time of recording this. And, he's at $100,000. I'm super stoked for the guy. He's great. I'm looking forward to it. I have backed a lot of crowdfunded books. I didn't get a chance to back it yet, but that's going to be something I do today. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be well done. I think that Sean is kind of the ideal guy to do a crowdfund.
Well, he's good with fans. He's good at promoting his own work, and he's one hell of an artist. That's really the one thing that separates him from a lot of people. His art is extremely distinguishable from everybody else. It's quintessentially Sean Gordon Murphy. He's a damn good writer as well. Obviously, he's the creator of the Murphyverse, Batman White Knight, Batman Curse the White Knight. He also had the Victor Von Fries one shot. And we know we've got some other things coming up in the future in that DC world. Stepping out, going into crowdfunding, and it's a big deal. And going to Indiegogo was obviously a big deal. Kickstarter is somewhat the bigger platform as far as money, but really for comic books, Indiegogo seems to have the bigger crowdfunding campaigns that do the bigger numbers more consistently.
Yeah, and that's been a change that has occurred over the last 2 to 3 years with Kickstarter kind of becoming the also ran for comics launches. You had Ethan, you had John Malin, you had Richard, you had that Icarus and the Sun book, you had Doug TenNapel, all of them kind of going to Indiegogo. I don't recall there's been decent number, crowdfunded books through Kickstarter, but I've never seen big dollar books,
What are you talking about? Brian Pulido does all of his books on Kickstarter.
Oh, you know
Every
what?
one of them does $250,000 minimum.
Yes, you are correct. Sorry. Brian Pulido. But Brian Pulido does every book, but he's got his audience. And honestly, no one ever promoted it. It was never a big deal. Like everybody was, you never even heard. Brian Pulido was on his like fifth $250,000 book, and before anybody even noticed, because it wasn't given any promotion. There wasn't any hype behind it. I don't know what they've done before, but Kickstarter was the Kleenex of crowdfunding. It was a brand name that everybody went to. You just defaulted calling every crowdfunded book a Kickstarter because it was so synonymous with crowdfunding. And now it's not.
Well, it certainly still is, but for comic books, it feels like Indiegogo is kind of the safer bet with the more consistent audience that you'll be able to reach. At least that's what it feels like.
Yeah. I there's a lot of benefits in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of Kickstarter because I don't like the way it has nothing to do with the brand itself. It has everything to do with just the way that they do things. I like the way Indiegogo does. I like being charged for my book whenever I back it rather than making sure, if I'm backing a big project, an expensive project, making sure that I have the extra money in that account whenever 30 days from now, whenever it closes. I like being able to have on demand or like in demand stores. I like that apparently they take a little less money from the creators, but there's a lot of I like the fact that it can be a campaign can be running for 60 days instead of just 30. There's a lot of things that I like about Indiegogo, and I think is more appealing to creators that are putting together a book. It's interesting though that it took so long for anybody to really realize it and start adopting it.
Well, it's certainly been adopted. Sean Gordon Murphy did an interview with Newsarama recently, and they asked him, they're like, why would you go with Indiegogo instead of Kickstarter? And I saw the concerned trolls on Twitter saying, oh, why would he use Indiegogo? That's troubling. I wonder what that is about. Well, it's not a secret. He said it right there in an interview. He said the person that was in charge of comic books, like the liaison at Kickstarter, had said stuff about him in the past and was a known gatekeeper and would specifically keep people off of that platform if she had a problem with you. And, and that's the weird thing about Kickstarter. Kickstarter and Indiegogo, these platforms are supposed to remove gatekeeping from the equation. It's supposed to remove the barrier from the creator to the customer and allow them an opportunity to reach customers if their product is good. But then all of a sudden you get somebody like Camilla Zhang, over there at Kickstarter, and now the gate comes back up again. And then what's the point of Kickstarter? What's the point of Indiegogo if you're just going to gatekeep that shit too?
Yeah. I mean, it might as well be Eric Stevenson or Eric Larson or, back when David Brothers was still at Image, whoever it is over there that's deciding what products or what projects to adopt for Image. What's
what
the
creators
difference?
Are allowed to even work there.
Yeah. What's the difference at that point between Kickstarter and Image, except for you have to do all your promotion? At least Image distributes your book for you and runs ads for you. You got to do all your own.
They do some of the marketing, and they'll obviously do the production for you and stuff like that. And they'll get you out to comic shops. But that's the thing that bothers me about Kickstarter is all of a sudden Kickstarter decides that they're more of an ideological platform. They start throwing up gates, and now what do we see with Kickstarter? They just laid 40% of their employees off. Obviously, that has something to do with COVID-19, but it also has something to do with creators and people wanting to crowdfund projects, whether it be comic books, whether it be inventions, whether it be anything, not really trusting the platform anymore. Someone like Sean Gordon Murphy, a huge name in the industry, can sell a book at DC Comics on his name alone, didn't feel comfortable going over there thinking he wouldn't get a shot, or maybe they wouldn't even allow his book really to be promoted on the trending now or the hot project list that his name should be on, because he did $100,000 in 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, Indiegogo, they've shown that their trending algorithms, their how do you get your book passed? It seems to be very agnostic. They just don't care. You had somebody that was deciding who was going to put the books out at Kickstarter that had personally come out and spoken against him. Why in the hell would I ever consider taking my project there? If somebody's going to sit there and crap on me, and I got somebody over on the other, a different platform that doesn't crap on me and is just going to promote my book the way that it should be promoted, I'm going to go there. It's really not that complicated.
Yeah, it's weird because, like I said, these are supposed to remove the gatekeeping. But one of the big issues with comic books in the industry are these stupid whisper networks where they're constantly talking shit behind creators' backs, trying to get them off of projects, keeping them out of projects. And then Kickstarter goes out of their way to go and hire one of these gatekeepers that's in the same whisper network so they can just incorporate that shit into the platform that's supposed to allow you to get away from that crap to begin with. It just shows you what was wrong and is wrong with Kickstarter and why it might not be a viable platform all that much longer because they've incorporated the garbage that people are trying to circumvent to begin with.
Yeah, and let's look at this reasonably. If they've hired somebody like Camilla Zhang, well, had hired to police comics, which is not a very large portion of their total overall platform. If they're doing this in comics, which is a relatively small overall percentage of their total business, do you think they're not doing something similar, gatekeeping in their inventions category or their overall like consumer product stuff? I guarantee they're doing something the same way. You just don't know it because there's not whisper networks, and the inventing world isn't.
Oh, I'm certain there are. It's just I don't care about that stuff. I'm a comic reader.
Oh, I know. That's my point. So if they're doing it in something small and insignificant overall to their total platform, I guarantee they're doing it to the big. And that puts their whole, goal that being a remove obstacles to getting your product, regardless of what it is, to market and to the customers. It runs contrary to that, and it's basically guarantees that that platform is not long for this world unless they reevaluate this overall plan of putting gates back up and putting obstacles back in place that the whole point of coming to that platform was to circumvent.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, and there's got some other issues. Obviously, we haven't said it specifically. Camilla Zhang was laid off with the 40%. These weren't furloughs; these were layoffs. She is out of that job, and she had this big, long, thank you list of all the wonderful things that she thinks she accomplished at Kickstarter. Whereas, she was actually part of the problem. And one of her biggest achievement, she said, was this union that they started at Kickstarter, which is one of the most ridiculous union ideas I've ever heard in my life. So unions are normally all about making sure there's a safe work environment, being able to negotiate contracts, being able to negotiate, benefits
Insurance.
And things like this. This is a damn tech company. Look what just happened to Twitter. Now that we've had all this COVID-19 stuff, they're just all working from home from now on. It's not like they worked in an unsafe environment to begin with. They just wanted to unionize because they're all and now they're all paying the price because they all got fucking fired.
Let's be real here. Kickstarter isn't exactly a fucking coal mine. You don't got to worry about, well, is there going to be a collapse today, or is the management too cheap to put up the proper support beams so that we don't get crushed under the mountain when the coal mine collapses? This doesn't happen. It's friggin' Kickstarter, man. You build a web page so that other people can market their product and maybe get money, and then you work as essentially nothing but a payment processor.
This would be the platform.
Yeah, this would be like the bank tellers union. What the hell's the point of it? There's no point to this.
At least banks get robbed. There's a little bit of implied danger there.
Okay, this would be like the PayPal union then.
Yes.
like seriously, this is the most ridiculous union I have ever heard of to even exist in the first place. Now,
and for her to be so excited that her greatest accomplishment was bringing in the instrument of her own demise, it likely played a huge reason why her and 40% of her peers and colleagues all got fired. Just baffles me.
It baffles me too. I know that I don't think that this was ever codified into the contract, but I know that one of the things that they were demanding in their union was better control over what products they accept. I'm sitting there going, what in the hell kind of a purpose for the union is this? I'm betting it didn't get actually written in there. If it did, that is absurd.
But it just tells you the mentality of the people working there, that they wanted to be gatekeepers, that they get to decide who gets to come on the platform and who gets to discover their audience and who doesn't. That's why Indiegogo is still going strong, and people like Sean Gordon Murphy are being smart, moving over there. And you have Kickstarter laying off 40% of their people because they don't have enough people trusting their platform anymore. It's damaged goods.
Yeah. I mean, okay, I get it. Like, you wanted to improve your work situation, thinking that, okay, well, Indiegogo, your competition, you didn't feel like you had competition, so you didn't feel like you had to compete. Well, you do, and you did, and now you've laid off 40% of your people because everywhere else that's crowdfunding can do it better and cheaper than you. Good job, I guess.
And I don't want people to get the wrong idea. I'm not actually happy that 40% of their employees lost their job. Especially if it was partially related to COVID-19 or even with the union stuff. I want the platforms to be there so people can get around gatekeeping in comic books, can get around gatekeeping in movies, can get around gatekeeping in music, can get around gatekeeping in technology, and have these opportunities. But when Kickstarter makes a move like that, brings in their own gatekeepers, I think that they kind of deserve what they got, and hopefully they clean up their act and they're a viable platform moving forward that's healthier and that people can trust again.
Yeah, that's same thing with me. I mean, as much as I hate seeing people lose their jobs, when you put yourself in a position where the only thing that can possibly happen if something goes bad is for you to get fired, you did it to yourself. I'm sorry. Hopefully you learned a lesson from it and you come back smarter next time.
Well, certainly Sean Gordon Murphy is smarter. He went over to Indiegogo. He's having a huge success, while Kickstarter is kind of flapping in the wind due to some bad decisions, whether it be allowing gatekeepers into their system, just the terrible decision to unionize. I don't even want to get into that one again, but Doc, that'll basically, take up our time here. We talked about the subject. Is there anything else that you needed to say before we wrap this one up?
Don't gatekeep product agnostic platforms. It's just that simple. Let people succeed, or
let the market decide.
Exactly.
If the customers don't think it's a good product, they won't back it.
Yeah, Indiegogo and Kickstarter were basically created as the quintessential marketplace of ideas. It was like basically pure capitalism. People at Kickstarter apparently decided to turn it into pure cronyism. Good job.
Well, you can see why Camilla Zhang felt so at home at Kickstarter.
I would agree.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.